This is Ken Smith reminding you it happened today, April 17th. But the year was 1524. Giovanni Verrazzano, a navigator from Florence, Italy, discovers the New York Bay. It was on this day, April 17th, 1861, when Virginia secedes from the Union and joins the Confederacy. It was on this day, 1932, that Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia ends slavery. It was on this day, 1961, when 1,400 Cuban exiles land in the Bay of Pigs in a doomed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro. It was on this day, April 17th, 1964, that the Ford Mustang was introduced to the public. You could have bought it for $2,368. It was on this day, April 17th, 1969, that Sirhan Sirhan is convicted of assassinating U.S. Senator Robert Kennedy. It was on this day, April 17th, 2011, that Game of Thrones premieres on HBO. It was also on this day, 2012, when the 18th century St. Cuthbert Gospel, being Europe's oldest intact book, is purchased by the British Library for almost $10 million. It was on this day, just a year ago, April 17th, 2019, that a man was held in custody after bringing gas cans to explode in St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. But that was April 17th in the past. This is April 17th, 2020. It appears the longer we are quarantined, the greater the superstitions. Stacy Rapp, 46 years old, owns Enchantments, a 10-year-old occult supply store in New York. And with this extended quarantine, she says it's good for business. Everyone is sitting in their own homes and apartments, surrounded by their candles, charms, crystals, amulets, and freaking out. Also, people are purchasing en masse houseplants during the quarantine, in part because those with black thumbs are now around 24/7, and their thumbs have turned green, and they're able to care for their plants, and also in part because the plants are very soothing during stressful times. The coronavirus is affecting sleep habits. 77% of Americans are finding their sleep disrupted. 50%, the thing that keeps them awake is anxiety. The second most frequent answer is worrying about the safety of loved ones, followed by loneliness. While all this is happening, Venice in Italy is slowly stirring back to life this week as some shops reopen and residents tentatively venture outside, all in masks while keeping a safe distance from others. Italy is allowing bookshops, stationery stores, children's clothing stores to reopen across the country. This is the first easing of a strict lockdown that's been in place since last March 9th. In the face of dire predictions, as we live in a time of anxiety, fear about the future, a question was asked today: is 150 the new life expectancy for people born in the 21st century? Is the first person who will live to 150 years old alive today? That's the subject of a $1 billion bet between two of the leading scientists in the field of aging. Dr. Olshansky, professor at the School of Health at the University of Illinois at Chicago, and Stephen Austad, a biologist at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. They've been friends since the early 1990s. The two made their bet in 2000 after a newspaper article quoted Professor Austad as saying that living to 150 will soon be within our grasp. Each of the researchers have put $300 into an investment account that the two men hope will be worth $1 billion in the year 2150, when the bet comes due. But even Professor Austad, the optimist, said, it's going to be to our descendants who get to collect the money. By 2150, Austad said, advances in biomedical science and drugs that prove cellular function would make living to 100 routine, with a few people reaching the age of 150, somewhat like people routinely live to age 80 today, with a few living to 110. Professor Olshansky says, in his view, the upper limits of life expectancy are in the mid to high 80s. Under that scenario, he says, many more people will live to see 100 years old, but 150? No way. We've been given a great gift of life, for which we remember that this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is Ken Smith reminding you it happened today, April 17th, 2020.